You think you're better than me? Those 5 words changed everything. The way he said it, low and dangerous, made every person in that upscale restaurant freeze. Forks stopped midway to mouths. Conversations died. Even the soft jazz playing in the background seemed to quiet down. My name is Claire Bennett, and this is the story of how a chess game with a mafia boss turned my entire world upside down. How I went from being a broke waitress scrambling to pay for my daughter's medical bills to discovering that sometimes the most dangerous men hide the softest hearts. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we dive in, I want to know how you're doing today. Where are you watching from? Is it raining where you are? Or is the sun shining? I hope you're comfortable because this story, this journey, it's going to take you places you never expected. And I promise you, by the end, you'll understand why I'm grateful for every terrifying, beautiful moment of it. You know what they say about karma, right? That what goes around comes around? That pride comes before a fall? I never believed in any of that philosophical nonsense until the day I met Vincent Cain. Until the day I watched the most powerful man I'd ever encountered get taken down by something as simple as 64 squares and 32 pieces. If you're enjoying this already, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with someone who needs to hear a story about justice, about love, about how the universe has a funny way of humbling the proud. And drop a comment telling me what you think as we go along. Your words mean everything to me. But let me start from the beginning. I was 26 years old, working double shifts at Marchetti's, this fancy Italian restaurant downtown where the cheapest bottle of wine cost more than my monthly rent. My feet ached constantly. My back hurt. I smelled like garlic and tomato sauce every single night. But I smiled. I smiled because my daughter Emma needed me to. Because her medical bills weren't going to pay themselves. Because being a widowed mother at 26 meant I didn't have the luxury of complaining. Emma was 7, beautiful, and sick. Leukemia. Stage 3. The doctors said she needed treatment that our insurance barely covered. I worked 70 hours a week just to keep us afloat, just to make sure she had everything she needed. Her father, my late husband David, died 2 years earlier in a car accident. Some drunk driver ran a red light, and that was it. Gone. Just like that. So, yeah, I was tired. I was broke. I was desperate. But I was also my father's daughter, and my father taught me to never quit. To never back down. To face every challenge head on, no matter how impossible it seemed. My father was Gregory Bennett. If you know chess, really know chess, you've heard that name. 5-time world champion. A legend. He taught me everything he knew from the time I could hold a pawn. We spent hours at the board, him showing me combinations, strategies, sacrifices that looked insane until suddenly they weren't. Until suddenly the whole board opened up and victory was inevitable. Chess is life, Claire, he used to tell me. Every move has consequences. Every decision matters. And the person who can see furthest ahead, who can plan while everyone else reacts, that's the person who wins. I could have gone professional. I was good enough. Scouts watched me at 16. Offers came in. But then Dad got sick. Cancer. I stayed home to take care of him instead of traveling to tournaments. Then I met David. We fell in love. Got married young. Had Emma. And Dad passed away when Emma was 3. By the time I thought about chess again as anything more than a hobby, life had other plans. David died. Emma got sick. And suddenly I was a waitress with a genius-level chess rating that nobody knew about and nobody cared about because it didn't pay the bills. I hadn't played seriously in almost 8 years. That particular Tuesday started like any other. I got Emma to school, kissed her goodbye, told her I loved her, and headed to Marchetti's for the lunch shift. The restaurant was beautiful, all dark wood and soft lighting, white tablecloths and crystal glasses. The kind of place where men in expensive suits made deals worth millions while pretending to care about the food. Vincent Cain came in around 2 in the afternoon. I knew who he was. Everyone did. You didn't work in this part of town without knowing the name Vincent Cain. Tall, maybe 6'2", built like someone who worked out but not obsessively. Dark hair starting to show gray at the temples. Sharp jaw. Eyes that missed nothing. He wore his power like other men wore cologne, subtle but impossible to ignore. And he wasn't alone. The man with him was shorter, stockier, with wire-rimmed glasses and a warm smile that seemed genuine. They embraced like brothers when they met at the entrance. Lots of backslapping. Loud laughter. The kind of reunion that made you smile even if you didn't know them. "Vincent, you son of a gun, you haven't aged a day," the other man said. "Marcus, you're still a terrible liar," Vincent replied, grinning. "Come on, I got us the best table." "Wait, I need to pause here. Marcus. That was his name. Marcus Moore. I found out later he was a legitimate chess grandmaster. International tournaments. Championship titles. The real deal." He and Vincent apparently grew up together in the same rough neighborhood, stayed friends even as their lives went in completely different directions. They sat at a corner table where Vincent could see the whole restaurant. Old habit, I guess. Always knowing who's coming and going. Always watching. I was assigned to their section, which meant I'd be serving them for however long they stayed. That's when I noticed the chess set. Vincent pulled it out of a leather bag, this gorgeous wooden set with pieces that looked hand-carved. The board itself was inlaid mahogany and maple, the kind of thing you'd see in a museum. "Just like old times," Marcus said, his face lighting up. "You still play?" "When I can," Vincent said. "Not as much as I'd like. Running an empire doesn't leave much time for hobbies." They both laughed at that. Empire. Funny way to describe organized crime, but I guess when you're at the top, you can call it whatever you want. I brought them water, took their drink orders. Vincent wanted scotch, neat. Marcus asked for coffee. They barely looked at me. I was furniture. Invisible. Just another waitress in a sea of waitresses they'd never remember. And they started playing. I tried not to watch. I had other tables. Other customers. But I couldn't help myself. Chess was in my blood. Watching two people play was like watching a conversation in a language only I understood. Vincent was good. I could see that immediately. He understood basic strategy. He controlled the center. He developed his pieces properly. He wasn't some casual player who moved pawns randomly and hoped for the best. But Marcus was better. Much better. He saw combinations 3, 4, 5 moves ahead. He set traps that looked like gifts. He sacrificed pieces that seemed important until suddenly they weren't, until suddenly Vincent's position collapsed like a house of cards. First game. Marcus won in 30 moves. Second game. Marcus won in 27 moves. Third game. Marcus won in 32 moves. I watched Vincent's expression change with each loss. The easy smile got tighter. The relaxed posture got stiffer. His jaw clenched.
Pride.
Wounded pride. The kind that makes men do stupid things. "Another," he said after the third loss. "Vincent, come on, let's just enjoy lunch," Marcus said gently. "It's just a game." "Another," Vincent repeated, and there was steel in his voice now. Fourth game. Marcus won in 24 moves. I was refilling their water glasses when I saw it. Vincent was about to move his knight. It was a terrible move. Absolutely terrible. It would expose his queen, leave his king vulnerable, and hand Marcus an easy victory in maybe 6 moves. I knew I should keep my mouth shut. I knew it. This wasn't my business. These weren't my friends. Vincent Kane was dangerous. Everyone knew that, and smart people didn't get involved with dangerous men. But I'm my father's daughter. And my father taught me that watching someone make a preventable mistake and saying nothing was its own kind of cowardice. "Don't make that move," I said quietly as I set down the water pitcher. "That's why he keeps beating you." I said it under my breath. Barely audible. I didn't even mean for anyone to hear it. It just slipped out, automatic, the same way my father used to mutter corrections when we played. But Vincent heard me. His hand froze over the knight. His head turned slowly, and those eyes, cold and calculating, locked onto mine. "Excuse me," he said. My heart dropped into my stomach. Every survival instinct I had screamed at me to apologize, to back away, to pretend I hadn't said anything. "I'm sorry," I said quickly. "I didn't mean to interrupt. I'll just—"
No.
He held up one hand. Come here. It wasn't a request. It was a command. The kind of voice that moved soldiers, that toppled governments, that made grown men confess to crimes they didn't commit. I walked over on shaking legs. You think you know chess? He asked. His voice was soft, but there was acid underneath it. Contempt. You think you can just walk by and criticize my game? I really am sorry, I said. I was out of line. I shouldn't have said anything. You think you're better than me, he said, and it wasn't a question. It was an accusation. Some waitress who probably learned to play from a phone app thinks she can coach Vincent Kane. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Vincent, man, let it go. She was trying to help. Was she? Vincent's eyes never left mine. Or was she being arrogant? Thinking she's special? Thinking she's smarter than everyone else? I don't think that, I said quietly. My voice was steady even though my hands were shaking. I apologize. Truly. Apology rejected, he said flatly. The restaurant was completely silent now. Everyone watching. Everyone waiting to see what the big bad Vincent Kane would do to the mouthy waitress who dared to speak out of turn. And then he smiled. But it wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of a shark that just spotted blood in the water. Sit down, he said, gesturing to Marcus's empty chair. Marcus had stood up, probably thinking the game was over. I'm working, I said. I'm a customer, Vincent replied. And I'm ordering you to sit down and play a game with me. Consider it part of the service. Vincent, this isn't necessary, Marcus said. Oh, but it is, Vincent said, still looking at me. See, I've been losing all day. My pride is hurt. My ego is bruised. And now this waitress, this nobody, thinks she can give me advice. So I'm going to teach her a lesson. I'm going to beat her so badly, so completely, that she'll think twice before ever opening her mouth again around her betters. His betters. He actually said that. Something inside me shifted. The fear was still there, but underneath it, something else rose up. Anger. Cold, focused anger. The same anger I felt when insurance companies denied Emma's claims. When doctors talked down to me like I was stupid. When the world tried to make me small. Fine, I said. I sat down. One game. Oh no, Vincent said, resetting the board. Not one game. We're playing until I beat you. Could be 5 games. Could be 20. However long it takes. Marcus put a hand on Vincent's shoulder. Man, you're being an idiot right now. Vincent shrugged him off. Stay or go, Marcus. Your choice. Marcus sighed and sat back down. He looked at me with something like pity. Like he was sorry for what was about to happen to me. If only he knew. Vincent set up the pieces with sharp, precise movements. White or black, he asked. You choose, I said. He took white. Ladies first is traditional, but since you want to play with the big boys, you get black. No handicaps. No merci. I wouldn't want it any other way, I said. He opened with pawn to e4. Standard. Classic. The most common opening in chess. I responded with the Sicilian defense. Also standard. Also classic. We played quickly. Not blitz fast, but steady. Move, counter-move. Development, counter-development. And I let him win. I saw the checkmate coming 5 moves before it happened. I deliberately moved my rook to the wrong square. I missed his bishop threatening my queen. I played like someone who knew the rules but not the strategy. He checkmated me in 30 moves and sat back with a satisfied smile. Well, he said, that was easier than I thought. You're very good, I said softly, setting up the pieces again. I know, he said. The arrogance was back in full force. Again. Second game. I let him win again. This time in 25 moves. I made it look closer, put up more of a fight, but the ending was never in doubt. Vincent was practically glowing now. You know what I think, he said, leaning back in his chair. I think you talk a big game, but when it comes down to it, you're just another amateur who doesn't know half as much as she thinks she does. Marcus was watching me now. Really watching me. His eyes were narrowed, thoughtful, like he saw something Vincent didn't. Maybe, I said. No maybe about it, Vincent said. He looked around the restaurant, raised his voice, so, everyone could hear. See that, everyone? All bark, no bite. Just another person who thinks watching a few games makes them an expert. That was the moment. The moment I'd been building toward. The moment where being my father's daughter and being a scared waitress collided. I leaned forward and looked Vincent Kane directly in the eyes. I went easy on you, I said quietly. Both games. I let you win because your ego was already bruised, and I didn't want to embarrass you further in front of your friend. I played like a child plays, moving pieces without purpose, because I thought maybe you needed to feel like a man again after getting destroyed all afternoon. I was trying to be kind, but clearly, kindness looks like weakness to someone like you. The restaurant went so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Vincent's face went through several emotions.
Shock,
disbelief, then cold, hard rage. What did you just say to me? He asked, very softly. You heard me, I said. You wanted public validation so badly that you forced a waitress to play chess with you just so you could feel superior. That's pathetic. That's the behavior of an insecure child, not a grown man. Marcus made a sound that might have been a suppressed laugh. Vincent's hands clenched into fists on the table. You're lying. There's no way you let me win. Test me, I said simply. Play me again.
No holding back this time. No merci. No kainis.
You wanted to beat me so badly? Here's your chance.
Prove I'm lying.
He stared at me for a long moment, pride and rage warring with something else. Maybe doubt. Maybe the tiniest seed of uncertainty.
Fine, he said.
We play again. And when I beat you, when I prove you're full of it, you're fired. I'll make sure you never work in this town again. And when I beat you? I asked. That won't happen, he said confidently, arrogantly, like the very idea was impossible. But if it does? I pressed. He waved a hand dismissively. Then I'll admit you're better. I'll apologize. Whatever you want. I want you to donate $10,000 to Children's Hospital, I said. To the cancer ward. In my daughter's name. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe. You have a daughter? Yes, I said. She's 7. She's sick. And she deserves better than watching her mother get bullied by a man who can't handle losing a board game. Vincent was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded.
Deal.
When I win, you're fired and blacklisted.
When you lose, I should say.
Because you're going to lose. We'll see, I said. I reset the board. My hands were steady now. No more shaking. No more fear. This was my territory. This was where I belonged. Your move, I said. And the real game began. Vincent opened with pawn to e4 again. Confident. Predictable. The move of someone who thinks they've already won. I responded with the Najor variation of the Sicilian defense. It's aggressive, complex, and requires precise calculation. My father's favorite. He used to say it separated the players who memorized moves from the players who understood chess. Interesting choice, Marcus murmured. He was leaning forward now, completely focused on the board. Vincent pushed his knight forward. Standard development. Nothing creative. Nothing dangerous. I castled queenside. It's risky, puts your king on the same side where most of the action happens, but it also opens up tactical possibilities that most players never see coming. Unconventional, Vincent said. Was that respect in his voice? Or just curiosity? My father taught me that conventional thinking leads to conventional results, I said, moving my bishop. Your father plays chess? Vincent asked, capturing one of my pawns. Played. I corrected, taking his knight with my bishop. Past tense. He passed away 4 years ago. I'm sorry, Marcus said quietly. I nodded, keeping my eyes on the board. He was the best teacher I could have asked for. Patient.
Brilliant.
He saw the game differently than other people. Vincent moved his queen out early.
Too early.
It's a beginner's mistake, developing your most powerful piece before your position is secure. It makes the queen a target. I started building pressure on the king side. Pawn advances, piece coordination, creating threats that forced him to respond instead of attack. You're better than you showed in those first 2 games, Vincent said. His voice was tight. I told you I was holding back. I said simply. Move after move, I dismantled his position. Every piece he moved, I had an answer. Every threat he created, I neutralized. And slowly, methodically, I built an attack he couldn't stop. Checkmate came on move 28. A quiet queen move that left his king with nowhere to run. Vincent stared at the board for a long moment. His jaw worked like he was chewing on words he didn't want to say. Again, he said finally. Vincent, Marcus started. Again, Vincent repeated, harder this time. I reset the board. Your move. The second game went faster. Vincent tried a different opening, the Queen's Gambit, trying to throw me off balance. But I knew it inside and out. My father and I had played hundreds of games with that opening. I accepted the gambit, took the pawn he offered, then proceeded to show him why it's called a gambit. The pawn wasn't a gift. It was bait. And he'd given me exactly what I needed to tear his position apart. Checkmate in 23 moves. Vincent's face was red now. Anger and embarrassment mixing into something ugly. Again, he growled. Third game. Fourth game. Fifth game. I won them all. By the sixth game, people from other tables were standing up, gathering around to watch. Word had spread through the restaurant. The waitress was destroying Vincent Kane at chess. The untouchable crime boss was getting humiliated by a woman in a stained apron who smelled like marinara sauce. Your game is weak, I said softly during the seventh match, taking his rook with my bishop. You're reactive instead of proactive. You wait for your opponent to make mistakes instead of forcing them into bad positions. That works against average players. It doesn't work against good ones. Shut up and play, Vincent snapped. You asked for this, I reminded him, moving my queen into an attacking position. You demanded I play you. You wanted no mercy. So here we are. Checkmate. 7 down. Your knight placement is predictable, I said during the 8th game. You put them on the same squares every time, regardless of what I'm doing. Chess isn't a formula. It's a conversation. You have to listen to what your opponent is saying with their moves. Checkmate. 8 down. You're too attached to your queen, I said during the 9th game. You're so worried about losing her that you make suboptimal moves with everything else. Your king is what matters, not your queen. You can win with just pawns if you have to. Checkmate. 9 down. Vincent wasn't even pretending to be calm anymore. His hands were shaking. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Every person in that restaurant was watching him lose, over and over, to someone he'd tried to humiliate. Marcus put a hand on his shoulder after the 10th loss. Vincent. Brother. Stop. This isn't worth it. No, Vincent said.
His voice was raw.
No, I can beat her. I just need to focus. I just need to. You need to accept that she's better than you, Marcus said gently. There's no shame in that. She's better than most people. Hell, she's giving me ideas, and I do this professionally. Vincent looked at Marcus with something like betrayal in his eyes. Then he looked at me. Really looked at me. Like he was seeing me for the first time. Who are you? He asked quietly. I told you, I said. I'm a waitress. I'm a mother. I'm someone trying to survive in a world that doesn't care about people like me. No, Vincent said. Nobody plays like this by accident. Nobody learns this from casual games.
Who taught you?
I hesitated, then decided he'd earned the truth. Gregory Bennett, 5-time world chess champion. He was my father. The silence that followed was absolute. Marcus's eyes went wide. Gregory Bennett was your father? The Gregory Bennett. Yes, I said. Oh my God, Marcus breathed. I studied his games in school. He was a legend. His endgame technique was revolutionary. His positional understanding was. He trailed off, staring at me. You're Claire Bennett. You were junior champion at 16. You beat 3 grandmasters in simultaneous exhibition when you were 14. I remember reading about you. You just disappeared. Life happened, I said simply. My father got sick. I stayed home to care for him. Then I got married, had Emma, and by the time I thought about competitive chess again, I had different priorities. Vincent was still staring at me. You're Gregory Bennett's daughter. And you're working as a waitress. Turns out chess championships don't pay medical bills, I said with a bitter smile. Turns out being the daughter of a legend doesn't matter when your daughter has cancer and your husband is dead and you're just trying to keep your head above water. Something changed in Vincent's expression. The anger drained away, replaced by something softer. Something almost like shame. Your daughter, he said. The one at Children's Hospital. What's her name?
Emma, I said.
She's 7. She loves butterflies and Harry Potter and terrible jokes that don't make sense. She's the bravest person I've ever met. And you work here, Vincent said slowly, to pay for her treatment. I work here. I work at a coffee shop on weekends. I do online tutoring at night, I said. I do whatever it takes. Because she's my daughter. And she deserves every chance to live. Marcus was shaking his head slowly. Claire, with your skills, you could be making serious money in competitive chess. Exhibition matches, coaching, tournament prizes. I don't have time for tournaments, I said. I don't have time to travel. I need to be here, with Emma, working jobs with flexible hours so I can take her to treatments and appointments and be there when she needs me. Vincent stood up abruptly. For a moment, I thought he was going to leave. Walk away. Pretend this whole thing never happened. Instead, he pulled out his phone and made a call. Jerry, he said into the phone. I need you to make a donation. $10,000. Children's Hospital, Cancer Ward. Make it in the name of Emma Bennett. He paused, listening. I don't care what account it comes from. Just do it.
Now.
He hung up and looked at me. Done. I felt tears prick my eyes but forced them back. You didn't have to do that. We didn't finish all 20 games. We finished enough, Vincent said. You proved your point. I was arrogant. I was cruel. I tried to humiliate you because my ego couldn't handle losing to my friend. And you put me in my place. Thoroughly. He held out his hand.
I'm sorry. Truly.
You deserved better than how I treated you. I shook his hand. His grip was firm, warm. Apology accepted. Marcus stood up too. Claire, I meant what I said. With your talent, you could do so much more than this. If you ever want to get back into competitive chess, I'd be happy to help. Sponsorships, coaching positions, whatever you need. Thank you, I said. I'll think about it. Vincent was still standing there, looking at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Can I ask you something? Sure, I said. Those first 2 games, he said. When you let me win, why did you do that? I thought about it for a moment. Because you looked like you needed a win. Because I know what it's like to feel like you're failing at something that should be easy. Because sometimes people need kindness more than they need truth. Something flickered across his face.
Pain, maybe.
Or recognition. Nobody's been kind to me in a long time, he said quietly. Not without wanting something in return. I didn't want anything, I said. I just didn't want to add to your bad day.
He smiled then.
A real smile. Not the shark smile from before. And look how I repaid that kindness. By being a complete bastard. You made up for it, I said, nodding toward his phone. That donation will help a lot of kids. Including mine. It's not enough, Vincent said. What if I want to help more? What if I want to make sure Emma gets the best treatment available? What if I want to hire you as my personal chess coach? I blinked. What? You beat me 20 times, Vincent said, though technically it was only 10. No, wait. We didn't finish all 20. You beat me 10 times.
But the point stands.
You're brilliant. And I'm a man who appreciates talent when I see it. Even when it humiliates me in front of half the city. Marcus laughed at that. He's not joking. When Vincent finds something valuable, he holds on to it. I can't, I said automatically. I have Emma. I have my jobs. I can't just. Name your price, Vincent said. Whatever you're making at all your jobs combined, I'll triple it. You coach me 3 times a week, 2 hours each session. The rest of your time is yours. To spend with Emma. To do whatever you need. Why? I asked. Why would you do that? Because I don't like losing, Vincent said simply. And the only way to stop losing is to learn from someone better. That's you. And because he's not as bad as he pretends to be, Marcus added with a grin. Deep down, under all that Mafia boss posturing, Vincent actually has a heart. Shut up, Marcus, Vincent said, but there was no heat in it. I looked at both of them. At Vincent, powerful and dangerous, and somehow vulnerable in this moment. At Marcus, kind and accomplished and genuinely trying to help. And I thought about Emma, about her medical bills, about the treatments she needed, about being able to actually spend time with her instead of working myself to death across 3 jobs. Okay, I said. 3 sessions a week. 2 hours each. But I have one condition. Name it, Vincent said. If Emma needs me, if there's an emergency, I drop everything. No questions asked. That's non-negotiable. Done, Vincent said immediately. He held out his hand again. Deal? I shook it.
Deal.
And just like that, my life changed. I had no idea then what I was getting into. No idea that coaching Vincent Kane in chess would lead to something so much bigger, so much more complicated, so much more dangerous and beautiful than I could have imagined. But standing there in that restaurant, with my apron still on and my feet still aching, shaking hands with a man who terrified half the city, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. The first coaching session happened 3 days later. Vincent sent a car for me. An actual car. Black sedan, driver in a suit, the whole thing. My neighbors stared through their curtains as I climbed into the back seat. I texted my friend Jenna to check on Emma, who was having one of her good days and wanted to stay home and draw instead of going to treatment. The car took me to an address on the north side. Not what I expected. I thought maybe a restaurant, an office building, somewhere public and safe. Instead, we pulled up to a house. Well, calling it a house was like calling the ocean a puddle. It was a mansion. 3 stories, stone facade, iron gates, the kind of place you see in magazines and think nobody actually lives like that. The driver opened my door. Mr. Kane is expecting you in the study. 2nd floor, 1st door on the right. I climbed the steps to the front entrance, my worn canvas bag with my father's old chess set inside feeling completely out of place. A woman in her 50s answered the door, before I could knock. Housekeeper, I assumed. Miss Bennett, she said warmly. Please come in.
I'm Dorothy.
Can I get you anything? Coffee?
Tea.
Water. Water would be great. Thank you, I said, stepping into a foyer that was bigger than my entire apartment. The inside was beautiful, but not ostentatious. Hardwood floors, tasteful artwork, furniture that looked expensive, but comfortable. It felt like a home, not a showroom. I found the study exactly where the driver said it would be. The door was open. Vincent sat at a table by the window, the chess set already arranged, staring at the board like it held the secrets of the universe. He looked different here. No suit jacket, just a dark blue button-down with the sleeves rolled up. Reading glasses perched on his nose. He looked younger. More human. Claire, he said, glancing up. You came. You're paying me, I said. Of course I came. He smiled slightly. Fair point.
Seat.
Please. I sat across from him and pulled out my father's chess set. The pieces were worn, some of them chipped, the board's finish faded from thousands of games. Vincent looked at it with something like reverence. Is that his? Your father's? Yes, I said, running my fingers over the white king. He got this set when he won his first championship. Used it for every important game after that. Said it was lucky. May I? Vincent asked, reaching for one of the knights. I nodded. He picked it up carefully, turning it in his hands. It's beautiful. You can feel the history in it. 30 years of games, I said. Victories and losses. Brilliant combinations and terrible blunders. He never blamed the pieces when he lost. Always said the board was honest. It showed you exactly who you were. Vincent set the knight back down gently. What did it show him? That he was human, I said. That even champions make mistakes. That the game was bigger than any one person. Dorothy brought water for both of us, then left quietly. So, Vincent said, settling back in his chair. Where do we start? What's the first lesson in becoming less terrible at chess? I laughed despite myself. You're not terrible. You're decent. But decent isn't enough when you're playing against people who've dedicated their lives to this game. Like you, he said. Like I used to. I corrected. I haven't played seriously in years.
I'm rusty.
You beat me 10 times in a row, Vincent said dryly. If that's rusty, I'd hate to see you sharp. You beat yourself half those games, I said honestly. You made emotional decisions. Angry moves. That's the first thing we need to fix. Chess is about calculation and pattern recognition. Emotion clouds judgment. Emotion is what I do, Vincent said.
Fear.
Respect. Loyalty. My whole world runs on emotion. Then you need to learn to separate your world from the board, I said. When you sit down to play, nothing else matters. Not your pride. Not your reputation. Not what anyone thinks.
Just the position.
Just the pieces. Just the truth of what's in front of you. Vincent was quiet for a moment, studying me. Is that what your father taught you? Among other things, I said. He taught me that chess is meditation. That every game is a chance to quiet the noise and see clearly. He said the board doesn't care who you are. It only cares what you do. I like that, Vincent said softly. We started with basics. Opening principles. Development, center control, king safety. Things Vincent already knew intellectually, but didn't always apply consistently. You play the Italian game almost exclusively, I said after watching him set up his pieces.
Why?
It's solid, Vincent said. Reliable. I know the moves. It's predictable, I countered. Against weak opponents, reliable is fine. Against strong opponents, they'll tear you apart because they know exactly what you're going to do. So, what do I do instead? You learn multiple openings, I said. You keep your opponents guessing. You adapt to what they're doing instead of forcing your preferred positions every time. We played through positions. I showed him the Ruy Lopez, the Queen's Gambit, the King's Indian defense. Different styles, different philosophies, different ways of approaching the same 64 squares. Vincent was a quick study. He asked good questions. He didn't get defensive when I corrected him. And slowly, I saw him start to understand not just the moves but the ideas behind them. 2 hours passed like 20 minutes. That's time, I said, glancing at my phone. I need to get back to Emma. How is she? Vincent asked. Your daughter. How's she doing? Today's a good day, I said, smiling. She's home, drawing. Probably covering every surface in butterfly pictures. Does she know? About her diagnosis? About how serious it is? She knows she's sick, I said carefully. She knows she needs treatment. But she's 7. I don't think she fully understands that some people don't get better. And I'm grateful for that. Let her be a kid as long as possible. Vincent nodded slowly. My mother died when I was 8. Cancer, actually. I remember not understanding why everyone was so sad. Why Dad cried at night when he thought I was asleep. I thought she'd come back. That sick people just went away for a while and then came home. I'm sorry, I said quietly. It's why I built what I built, Vincent said. Why I clawed my way up from nothing. Because I watched my father work 3 jobs trying to pay for treatments that didn't work. Watched him break himself for a system that didn't care. And I decided I'd never be that powerless again. There was pain in his voice. Old pain. The kind that never fully heals. That's why you donated the money so quickly, I said. At the restaurant. It wasn't about the bet. No, Vincent admitted. It was about Emma. About giving her a chance my mother didn't get. Medical bills shouldn't decide who lives and who dies. It's obscene. But that's the world we live in, I said. Maybe, Vincent said. Or maybe we change it. One donation at a time. One kid at a time. I felt something shift in how I saw him. He wasn't just a dangerous man playing a chess. He was someone who understood loss. Who carried scars that shaped every decision he made. Same time next week? I asked, standing. Actually, Vincent said. I was thinking. Your other jobs. The coffee shop and the tutoring. What if you quit those? Just coach me, and I'll pay you enough to cover everything. Your rent, Emma's treatments, whatever you need. I froze. Vincent, that's too much. Is it? He asked. You're giving me your time, your expertise, your father's legacy. That's worth more than a few paychecks. I can't let you do that, I said. I can't be dependent on one person. What if something happens? What if you change your mind? I won't, Vincent said simply. I keep my word. Always. Ask anyone who knows me. When Vincent Kane makes a promise, it's iron. I wanted to say no. Wanted to keep my independence, my safety net, my control over my own life. But I thought about Emma. About spending real time with her instead of rushing from job to job. About not being exhausted every second of every day. 1 month trial. I said finally. If it works, we continue. If it doesn't, I go back to my other jobs. No hard feelings. Vincent smiled.
Deal.
I'll have my accountant set up direct deposit. First payment hits your account tomorrow. Thank you, I said. This means everything. You earned it, Vincent said. And Claire? Bring Emma next time. If she wants to come, I'd like to meet her. Dorothy makes incredible chocolate chip cookies. Kid approved. I hesitated. Bringing my daughter to a Mafia boss's house felt dangerous. Reckless. The kind of thing a responsible mother wouldn't do. But there was something genuine in Vincent's offer. Something that told me he understood what Emma meant to me. That he'd protect that. I'll ask her, I said. If she's feeling up to it, maybe. No pressure, Vincent said. The offer stands whenever. I left the mansion feeling lighter than I had in months. The money helped. God, the money helped so much. But it was more than that. It was being valued. Being seen. Having someone recognize that what I knew, what I could do, was worth something. I didn't realize then what I was stepping into. Didn't understand that accepting Vincent's offer meant entering his world. That teaching him chess would lead to late-night conversations about loss and hope. That protecting my independence would become impossible once I started caring about him as more than just a client. I didn't see the danger until I was already in too deep. But that first day, driving home in the back of that sedan, thinking about Emma's face when I told her we could afford her treatments without me working myself to death, I felt something I'd forgotten existed.
Joy.
Emma came with me to the 4th session. She'd been nervous at first when I told her where we were going. Is he scary? She asked, clutching her stuffed rabbit that she'd had since she was 3. He can be, I said honestly. But he's been kind to us. And he really does want to meet you. Does he know I'm sick? He knows. And he doesn't treat you differently because of it. I promise. That seemed to satisfy her. She wore her favorite purple dress, the one with butterflies on the hem, and brought her sketchbook because she never went anywhere without it. Dorothy answered the door again, and her whole face lit up when she saw Emma. Oh my goodness, aren't you precious?
I'm Dorothy.
I've heard so much about you. Emma smiled shyly.
I'm Emma.
I like your house. It's really big. It is, isn't it? Dorothy said, kneeling down to Emma's level. Tell you what, Mr. Kane is going to be talking boring chess stuff with your mom. Why don't you and I go to the kitchen and make those cookies I promised? Then we can bring them up when they're ready. Emma looked at me for permission. I nodded. Go ahead, baby. Have fun. She took Dorothy's hand and they disappeared down a hallway, Emma already chattering about her favorite cookie recipes. Vincent was in the study as usual, but he stood when I entered. She came. She wanted to, I said. She's with Dorothy making cookies. Good, Vincent said. Dorothy's been excited all week. She raised 3 boys. Misses having kids around. We settled into our usual spots. Over the past 3 weeks, we'd fallen into a rhythm. The first 30 minutes were instruction, me showing him concepts and strategies. The next hour was practice games where I'd point out mistakes in real time. The final 30 minutes was analysis, reviewing the games and discussing what he could have done differently. Today we're working on sacrifices, I said, setting up a famous position from one of my father's games. Giving up material for positional advantage or initiative. Seems counterintuitive, Vincent said. Why would you willingly lose pieces? Because chess isn't about having more pieces, I said. It's about having better pieces. A rook that can't do anything is worse than a pawn in the perfect position. Sometimes you have to give up something valuable to create something unstoppable. Vincent studied the position. This was your father's game? World Championship, 1998, I said. He sacrificed both rooks in this position. Everyone thought he was insane. But 12 moves later, his opponent resigned. The sacrifice opened up lines for his bishops and queen that couldn't be stopped. Show me, Vincent said, leaning forward. I walked him through the combination, move by move, showing how each sacrifice forced his opponent into worse and worse positions until there was no defense. Vincent was quiet for a long time after. That's beautiful. It's like poetry. My father used to say chess was the most honest form of art, I said. Every mistake is visible. Every brilliant idea is there for everyone to see. You can't hide behind interpretation or subjectivity. Either the move works or it doesn't. Did you ever beat him? Vincent asked. Your father? Once, I said, smiling at the memory. I was 15. We played for 4 hours. When I finally checkmated him, he sat back and cried. Happy tears. He said it was the proudest moment of his life. Not when you won junior championships. No, I said. He said watching me beat him meant I'd surpassed him. That he taught me everything and I'd made it my own. That's what every teacher wants. To be exceeded by their student. Vincent looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Do you think I'll ever beat you? Honestly? I said. Maybe. If you keep working like this. You've improved dramatically in just 3 weeks. You're thinking 3 or 4 moves ahead now instead of 1 or 2. You're seeing patterns you missed before. But, Vincent prompted. But you still make emotional decisions when you're under pressure, I said gently. When a game starts going badly, you get frustrated and make aggressive moves that don't actually help your position. You need to learn to stay calm, to accept bad positions, and work your way out of them methodically. That's not really my style, Vincent said with a wry smile. In my world, when things go bad, you hit back twice as hard. In chess, hitting back twice as hard usually means losing twice as fast, I said. Sometimes the best move is a quiet one. A retreat. A regrouping. Patience. We played a game. Vincent opened with the Ruy Lopez like I'd taught him, developed his pieces properly, controlled the center. He was doing everything right. Then I sacrificed my bishop. I watched the confusion cross his face. The piece was defended. He could take it cleanly. But he hesitated because he knew it had to be a trap. What are you thinking? I asked. That you don't make mistakes like this, Vincent said slowly. That if I take the bishop, something bad happens. So calculate it, I said. Work through the variations. What happens if you take it? He studied the board for 5 minutes. I watched his eyes move across the squares, seeing him count moves, consider possibilities. I don't see it, he admitted finally. I don't see how this hurts me. Then take it, I said. He captured the bishop. I moved my queen. His eyes widened. Oh, he said quietly. You see it now? If I block with my knight, you take it with check. If I block with my pawn, you take my rook. If I move my king, you take my queen. Exactly, I said. The bishop's sacrifice opened up a discovered attack. You couldn't see it because you were focused on the piece I was giving up instead of what it would allow me to do afterward. Vincent resigned the game. I'm never going to see that coming, am I? Not in the moment. You will, I said. It takes time. Pattern recognition. Playing through thousands of positions until these tactics become second nature. Thousands, Vincent repeated. That could take years. It took me 10 years to get where I am, I said. My father said there are no shortcuts in chess. Only hard work and honest evaluation of your weaknesses. Vincent was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Can I ask you something personal? Sure, I said, though something in his tone made me wary. Why did you really quit competitive chess? I know you said life happened, your father got sick, you got married. But you could have gone back after. Even with Emma, you could have played professionally, made real money. So, why didn't you? I took a breath. Nobody had asked me that directly before. Most people just accepted my vague explanations and moved on. Fear, I said finally. After my father died, after David died, I couldn't handle the idea of failing at something else. Chess was the one thing I'd always been good at, the one place where I felt competent and strong. And I was terrified that if I went back and lost, if I wasn't as good as I remembered, it would take away the one piece of my father I had left. Vincent nodded slowly. So, you chose to preserve the memory instead of risking the reality. Exactly, I said. It's cowardly, I know. It's human, Vincent said. I get it. When you lose everything, you hold tight to whatever's left. Even if holding tight means not really living. There was weight in those words. Personal weight. Did you lose everything? I asked quietly. Once, Vincent said. A long time ago. I had a life planned out. Normal job, normal wife, normal everything. Then my father got sick. Medical bills piled up. I borrowed money from the wrong people to pay for his care. When he died anyway, I couldn't pay them back.
They came after me.
Threatened my fiancé. Threatened everyone I loved. He paused, jaw tight with old anger. So, I made a choice, he continued. I went to work for them. Did things I'm not proud of. Learned their business. Became good at it. Better than good. Within 5 years, I owned everything they had. Paid back every cent I borrowed with interest. Made sure they could never threaten anyone I cared about again. What happened to your fiancée? I asked. She left, Vincent said simply. Couldn't handle what I'd become. I don't blame her. The man she loved died the day I made that choice. What came out the other side was someone else entirely. Do you regret it? Every day, Vincent said. And not at all.
I'm alive.
I'm powerful. Nobody can hurt me anymore. But I'm also alone. Dorothy's the closest thing I have to family. Marcus visits when he can, but he has his own life. And everyone else. He gestured vaguely. They work for me. They fear me. They respect me.
But they don't know me.
I felt something crack open in my chest. This man, this dangerous, powerful man, was just as lonely as I was.
Just as scared of letting people in.
I know you now, I said softly. A little bit, at least. Vincent met my eyes.
Yeah.
You do. The moment stretched between us, fragile and important. Then Emma's voice rang out from downstairs.
Mom.
The cookies are ready. The spell broke. Vincent smiled. Duty calls. We went downstairs to find Emma and Dorothy covered in flour, the kitchen smelling like heaven, and 3 dozen chocolate chip cookies cooling on racks. I made those ones special for you, Emma said to Vincent, pointing to a cluster of cookies that were definitely burned around the edges. Dorothy said the dark ones have more character. Vincent picked one up solemnly, took a bite, and made a show of chewing thoughtfully. Best cookie I've ever had. Absolute perfection. Emma beamed. Really? Really, Vincent said. You're clearly a master baker. She giggled at that, and something in Vincent's expression softened. He looked at her the way someone might look at something precious and breakable. We sat in the kitchen eating cookies and drinking milk. Emma told Vincent about her drawings, about her favorite books, about how she wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up because animals were better than people. Animals don't lie, she said seriously. They're just themselves all the time. That's very wise, Vincent said. Did your mom teach you that? No, Emma said. I figured it out myself. Mom teaches me about chess. Dad used to teach me about cars before he died. Vincent glanced at me. I nodded slightly, confirming it was okay to talk about it. What was your dad like? Vincent asked Emma gently. Nice, Emma said. He smiled a lot. He made pancakes every Sunday. He called me his little butterfly. Her voice got quieter. I miss him. I bet he misses you too, Vincent said. And I bet he's really proud of how brave you are. Emma looked up at him with those big eyes. Do you think he can see me? From heaven. I think, Vincent said carefully, that people we love never really leave us. They're in here.
He tapped his chest.
In every good thing we do. Every time you're brave, every time you're kind, that's your dad living through you.
Emma thought about that, then nodded.
Okay, I like that. Dorothy was wiping her eyes with her apron. I was fighting back tears myself. When it was time to leave, Emma hugged Vincent goodbye without hesitation. Just wrapped her little arms around his waist and squeezed. He stood frozen for a moment, like he'd forgotten how to respond to genuine affection. Then slowly, carefully, he hugged her back.
Come back soon, he said.
We'll make more cookies. Okay, Emma said happily. In the car on the way home, Emma was quiet for a while. Then she said, I like Mr. Kane. He's nice. He is, I agreed. Does he have any kids?
No, baby.
He doesn't. That's sad, Emma said. He'd be a good dad. I looked out the window, watching the city pass by, and thought about Vincent alone in that big house. About the loneliness in his eyes when he talked about his past. About how gentle he'd been with Emma. And I realized with a start that I didn't think of him as just a client anymore. Didn't think of our sessions as just a job. I was starting to care about him. About his happiness. About the man behind the reputation. That should have scared me. Should have sent up red flags and warning bells. But instead, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. The sessions continued through the next 2 months. 3 times a week, like clockwork. Sometimes Emma came with me, sometimes she stayed with Jenna when she wasn't feeling well. But every time I walked into that study, I felt more comfortable. More at home. Vincent improved dramatically. He won his first game against me in week 7. I didn't let him win. He earned it fair and square with a brilliant queen sacrifice that opened up my king. He sat back after delivering checkmate, staring at the board like he couldn't believe it was real. I beat you, he said quietly. You did, I confirmed, smiling. That was genuinely excellent play. My father would have been impressed by that combination. Vincent looked at me, and there was something raw in his expression. Vulnerability. I've been working on it for weeks. Studying positions. Playing through master games at night when I can't sleep. I wanted to prove I could do it. You proved it, I said. Congratulations. He stood up suddenly and pulled me into a hug. Just a quick embrace, over before I could process it. But I felt his heart racing against mine. Felt the warmth of him. The solidness. Thank you, he said, stepping back. For teaching me. For believing I could get better. You did the work, I said, my voice not quite steady. I just pointed you in the right direction. Something had shifted between us over those 2 months. Conversations that started about chess ended up being about life, loss, fear, hope. He told me about growing up poor, about his mother's death, about the choices that shaped him into who he became. I told him about my father's illness, about David's accident, about the terror of watching Emma fight for her life every single day. We understood each other. 2 people carrying impossible weight, finding brief moments of lightness in 64 squares. But it wasn't just friendship. I'd be lying if I said that's all it was. I noticed the way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't paying attention. The way his hand would linger when passing me a chess piece. The way he smiled more easily around me than he seemed to around anyone else. And I noticed my own reactions. The way my pulse quickened when I saw his car pulling up. The way I dressed more carefully on session days. The way I thought about him at odd moments, wondering what he was doing if he was safe. Emma noticed too. Kids always notice. Do you like Mr. Kane? She asked one night as I tucked her into bed. Of course I like him, I said carefully. He's my student. He's become a friend. No, I mean, do you like him? Emma pressed. The way you like Daddy? My breath caught. Emma, it's complicated. Why? She asked with a straightforward logic only children possess. He's nice. He makes you smile. You make him smile. Isn't that how it's supposed to work? It's not that simple, baby, I said. Mr. Kane lives a very different life than we do. His world is dangerous. And I have to think about keeping you safe. I feel safe with him, Emma said. He looks at you the way Daddy used to. Like you're special. I kissed her forehead, avoiding the conversation. Get some sleep. We have a treatment appointment tomorrow. But her words stayed with me.
Haunted me.
The breaking point came in month 3. I arrived at Vincent's house for our regular Wednesday session to find 3 cars I didn't recognize parked in the driveway. Black SUVs with tinted windows. The kind of vehicles that screamed danger. Dorothy answered the door, looking worried. Claire, maybe you should come back another time. Vincent has business. It's fine. Vincent's voice called from somewhere inside. Send her up. Dorothy looked at me apologetically. He insisted you keep your regular schedule. But please be careful. These men, they're not like Vincent. I climbed the stairs with my heart pounding. The study door was open. Vincent sat at his desk, not the chess table. 3 men in expensive suits sat across from him. They all turned to look at me as I entered. Gentlemen, Vincent said smoothly, this is Claire. She's here for a private chess lesson. We can continue this conversation afterward. One of the men, older with silver hair and cold eyes, smiled unpleasantly. Chess lesson. That's what we're calling it now. Excuse me? I said, my voice sharper than I intended. Marco, Vincent said, his voice dropping to something dangerous. Watch your mouth. Come on, Vincent, the man continued, ignoring the warning. Pretty girl comes to your house 3 times a week? We all know what that means. Though I have to say, paying her to teach you chess is a creative cover story. The implication was clear.
Ugly.
Degrading. I felt my face flush with anger and humiliation. Vincent stood up slowly. There was murder in his eyes. You have 3 seconds to apologize to her before I throw you out that window. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking, Marco said, but he looked less confident now. Young widow, single mother, suddenly on your peril? It looks suspicious. Makes people talk. Then people need to learn to keep their mouths shut, Vincent said. Each word was precise. Controlled.
Terrifying.
Claire is a 5-time world champion's daughter. She's a chess prodigy who gave up her career to care for her family. She's teaching me because I'm paying her to teach me. That's all. And anyone who suggests otherwise is going to answer to me personally. The room went silent. The other 2 men looked uncomfortable. Marco seemed to realize he'd crossed a line. I apologize, he said stiffly, not looking at me. I spoke out of turn. Not to me, Vincent said. To her. Marco turned to me reluctantly. I apologize, miss. That was inappropriate. I nodded curtly, not trusting my voice. Now get out, Vincent said. All of you. We'll finish this conversation tomorrow. And Marco? Consider this your only warning. Next time you disrespect someone under my protection, there won't be a conversation afterward. The 3 men left quickly. I heard their footsteps on the stairs, the front door closing, cars starting outside. Vincent came around the desk. Claire, I'm so sorry. That was unacceptable. Is that what people think? I asked quietly. That I'm your mistress? That this is all some elaborate cover story for an affair? I don't care what people think, Vincent said. But I do, I said, my voice rising. I care that my reputation, my professional integrity, is being dragged through the mud. I care that people look at me and see a woman trading favors instead of a teacher doing her job. Nobody who matters thinks that, Vincent said. Marco's an idiot. A dinosaur from the old guard who doesn't understand that the world has changed. But he's in your organization, I said. He works for you. Which means other people in your organization probably think the same thing. Vincent was quiet for a moment. Then he said, probably. Yes. The admission hit me like cold water. I can't do this anymore. What? Vincent's face went pale.
Claire, no.
Don't let one ignorant comment ruin what we've built here.
It's not just the comment, I said.
It's what it represents. I walked into your world thinking I could keep one foot out, keep myself separate and safe. But I can't. Your world doesn't work that way. Everyone who sees me here makes assumptions, draws conclusions. And those conclusions put Emma at risk.
How?
Vincent demanded. How does this put Emma at risk? Because people know I'm connected to you now, I said. Which makes us targets. What if someone wants to hurt you and decides the best way is through me? Through my daughter? I can't take that risk. I won't. Vincent ran his hands through his hair, frustration and desperation warring on his face. So, what are you saying? You're quitting? Just like that. I think I have to, I said, and my voice broke. For Emma's sake. This isn't about Emma, Vincent said quietly. This is about you being scared. Of course I'm scared, I said. You're a dangerous man, Vincent. You do dangerous things. And I'm a mother trying to keep her daughter alive. Those two things don't mix. They could, Vincent said, if you trusted me. If you believed that I would protect you both with everything I have. That's not the point, I said. Then what is the point? Vincent asked. He stepped closer. Tell me the truth, Claire. Why are you really running? I looked at him. At those eyes that had started seeing me not as a teacher, but as something more. At that face that I'd started thinking about at night when I couldn't sleep. Because I'm starting to care about you, I whispered. As more than a client. As more than a friend. And that terrifies me. Because caring about someone means I could lose them. And I can't survive another loss. I barely survived losing David. I'm barely surviving watching Emma fight every day. I have nothing left to give. Vincent's expression softened. Claire. No, I said, stepping back. Don't. Please. I need to go. I need to think. At least let me send the car for you, Vincent said. I'll walk, I said. I need the air. I left without looking back. Left the study, the house, walked past Dorothy's concerned face, and out into the cold afternoon. I made it 2 blocks before the tears came. Great heaving sobs that I'd been holding back for months. Years, maybe. Everything crashed down at once. The fear. The loneliness. The impossible situation of being attracted to a man whose world could destroy everything I'd worked so hard to protect. I found a bench in a small park and sat there crying until I had no tears left. My phone buzzed. A text from Vincent. I understand if you need space. But please know that what I feel for you is real. You're not just a chess teacher. You're the first person in 10 years who's seen past the monster everyone else sees. Who's treated me like I'm still human. That matters. You matter. Both of you. And I would rather die than let anything happen to Emma. I read it 3 times. Each word landing like a stone in water, creating ripples that spread wider and wider. Another text came through. This time from my bank. A notification. Deposit received. Amount $50,000. What? I called Vincent immediately. What did you just do? Emma's medical bills, he said calmly. The ones you've been struggling with. They're paid. All of them. Current and projected treatments for the next year. Vincent, you can't just. I couldn't even finish the sentence. I can and I did, he said. Whether you teach me chess or not, whether you ever speak to me again or not, Emma deserves every chance to get better. This isn't payment. This isn't manipulation. This is me making sure a little girl I care about gets to live her life. I can't accept this, I said, but my voice was weak. Then donate it back to the hospital for other families, Vincent said. But the money's yours. No strings attached. I just want Emma to be okay. And I want you to stop carrying the weight of the world alone. I sat on that bench holding my phone, staring at the bank notification, and felt something inside me crack open completely. This man, this dangerous, powerful, supposedly heartless man, had just given me the one thing I needed most. Not love, not promises, but the ability to save my daughter without destroying myself in the process. How was I supposed to walk away from that? How was I supposed to protect my heart when he just proven he understood exactly what I needed and provided it without asking for anything in return? I called him back. Can I come back? To the house? We need to talk. Of course, Vincent said immediately. I'll send the car. I'll walk, I said. I need the time to figure out what I'm going to say. 20 minutes later, I was back at his door. Dorothy let me in without a word, just squeezed my hand gently and pointed upstairs. Vincent was standing by the window in his study, his back to the door. He turned when he heard me enter. I'm scared, I said before he could speak.
I'm terrified. Of you.
Of what you represent. Of what could happen if I let you into my life and Emma's life. I know, Vincent said. But I'm also tired. I continued. Tired of doing everything alone. Tired of being strong every second of every day. Tired of pretending I don't feel something for you that goes way beyond professional respect. Vincent took a step toward me. What do you feel? I don't know, I admitted. It's too soon. Too complicated. David's only been gone 2 years. Emma's sick. Your world is dangerous. There are 100 reasons why this is a terrible idea. And yet, Vincent prompted gently. And yet when I'm with you, I feel like I can breathe, I said. Like maybe the weight I'm carrying isn't quite so impossible. Like maybe I'm allowed to be someone other than Emma's sick mom or the broke widow or the chess teacher scraping by. With you, I'm just Claire. And I forgot what that felt like. Vincent crossed the space between us in 3 strides. He cupped my face in his hands, thumbs brushing away tears I didn't realize were falling. Then be Claire, he said softly. Here, with me. Let me help carry the weight. Let me be there for you and Emma. Not because I'm paying you, not because of chess, but because I want to. Because in 3 months, you've become the most important person in my life. Vincent, I whispered. I know it's fast, he said. I know it's complicated. I know I'm not the kind of man you probably imagined yourself with. But I swear to you, Claire, I will protect you both with everything I have. I will make sure Emma gets the best care possible. I will make sure you never have to choose between being a mother and surviving. Just give me a chance to prove it. I looked into his eyes and saw truth there. Raw, honest truth. And I made a choice. Maybe a reckless one. Maybe one I'd regret. But in that moment it felt like the only choice that made sense. I kissed him. It was soft at first.
Tentative. Testing.
Then his arms came around me, and it deepened into something more. Something that spoke of loneliness and hope and the desperate need to connect with another human being who understood. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. Okay, I said. 1 step at a time. We keep doing chess lessons. We spend time together. We let Emma get to know you better. And we see where this goes. But Vincent, if at any point I feel like Emma's in danger because of your world, I'm out.
No negotiation.
No second chances. She comes first. Always. I wouldn't have it any other way, Vincent said. She should come first. That's what makes you a good mother. That's what makes you who you are. I rested my head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat, and thought about how drastically my life had changed in 3 months. From serving coffee and barely making rent to this. To being held by a man who terrified half the city but looked at me like I hung the moon. It should have felt wrong. Instead, it felt like coming home. The next 3 months were the happiest I'd been in years. Vincent and I grew closer. Not just romantically, though there was plenty of that. Stolen kisses between chess games. His hand finding mine during quiet moments. The way he looked at me, like I was something precious.
But it was more than romance. It was partnership.
He showed up to Emma's hospital appointments, sitting with us through treatments, distracting her with stories and bad jokes. He hired the best oncologist in the country to consult on her case. He made sure we never worried about money for medication or procedures. Emma adored him, called him Vince, drew him pictures that he hung in his study like they were priceless art. She was getting stronger too. The new treatment protocol was working. Her energy returned. Her smile came back. I let myself believe we were safe. That maybe Vincent's world and mine could coexist. That love was possible even in impossible circumstances. I should have known better. The first sign came on a Tuesday. I arrived at Vincent's house to find him on the phone, his voice cold and hard in a way I hadn't heard in months. I don't care what it takes. Find him. And when you do, make it clear what happens to people who steal from me. He hung up when he saw me, his expression softening immediately.
Claire. Sorry.
Business. Everything okay? I asked. Nothing for you to worry about, he said, kissing my forehead. How's Emma? Good.
Great, actually.
She wants to know if we can all go to the zoo this weekend. Absolutely, Vincent said, smiling. Tell her I'll pick her favorite animal and we'll adopt it in her name. But I saw the tension in his shoulders, the worry he was trying to hide. Over the next few weeks, that tension grew. Phone calls that made him leave the room. Meetings that ran late. Days when he seemed distracted during our chess sessions. Talk to me, I said one evening after he'd lost 3 games in a row, something that hadn't happened in months. What's going on? Vincent was quiet for a long moment. There's a problem. With the business. Someone's been making moves against me. Trying to take territory. Undermine my authority. Is it dangerous? I asked, though I already knew the answer. It could be, he admitted. But I'm handling it. You and Emma are protected. I've made sure of that.
How?
I pressed. Security watching her apartment. Detail following Emma's school route. Extra men on alert. Nobody gets near you without me knowing about it. I should have felt safer. Instead, I felt trapped. You didn't tell me this. Because I didn't want you to worry, Vincent said. I didn't want this touching your life. Vincent, it already touches my life. I'm with you. That means your problems are my problems. No, he said firmly. My problems stay my problems. You and Emma stay separate. Stay safe. But we couldn't stay separate. That became clear 2 weeks later. I was walking Emma home from school when I noticed the car. Black sedan. Following us for 3 blocks. When I turned down a different street, it turned too. My heart started racing. I pulled out my phone and called Vincent. Someone's following us, I said quietly, trying not to alarm Emma. Where are you? Vincent's voice was sharp. I told him. What do I do? Keep walking toward the main street. Stay where there are people. I'm sending someone now. 2 minutes later, another car pulled up beside us. The window rolled down. One of Vincent's men, someone I'd met before named Thomas. Get in, he said. I hesitated only a second, then bundled Emma into the back seat. Thomas drove us straight to Vincent's house, checking the mirrors constantly. Vincent met us at the door. He pulled me into his arms immediately, then knelt down to check on Emma. Are you okay, Butterfly? He asked gently. That was exciting, Emma said, completely oblivious to the danger. Like a spy movie. Vincent smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. He looked at me over Emma's head. Stay here tonight. Both of you. It's safer. Dorothy set Emma up in one of the guest rooms with hot chocolate and a movie. Vincent led me to his private office. Who was in that car? I asked. I don't know yet, Vincent admitted. But I will. And they'll regret it. This is exactly what I was afraid of, I said. Your world bleeding into ours. Emma being in danger because of who you are. I know, Vincent said. And I'm sorry. But Claire, this won't last forever. I'm dealing with it. Another week, maybe 2, and this threat will be neutralized. And then what? I asked. Another threat appears? Someone else tries to hurt you by going after us? When does it end? I don't know, Vincent said honestly. I wish I could promise you perfect safety, but I can't. What I can promise is that I will do everything in my power to protect you both. That you matter more to me than any business deal or territory or reputation. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But fear has a way of overriding hope. The situation got worse. Vincent's men found out who was making the moves against him. A rival organization from the East Coast, trying to expand into his territory. They'd specifically identified me and Emma as vulnerabilities. Leverage. Vincent increased security. We couldn't leave his house without an escort. Emma couldn't go to school. I couldn't work. We were prisoners in a gilded cage. Emma started asking questions. Why couldn't she see her friends? Why did men with guns follow us everywhere? Why did I look so scared all the time? I had no good answers. 2 weeks of lockdown turned into 3. Then 4. Vincent was gone more than he was home, dealing with the threat, doing things he wouldn't tell me about. Things I didn't want to know about. I watched him become the man everyone else saw. Cold. Hard. Dangerous. The gentle person who made cookies with Emma and lost at chess and kissed me like I was air seemed to disappear. I want to go home, I told him one night. It's not safe, Vincent said automatically. Then when will it be safe? I demanded. You keep saying you're handling it, but nothing changes. We're still trapped here. Emma's still missing her life. And you're barely here anymore. I'm trying to protect you, Vincent said, exhaustion clear in his voice. No, I said. You're trying to win a war. And we're collateral damage. That's not fair, Vincent said. Isn't it? I asked. Be honest with me, Vincent. Will this ever really be over? Or is this just what life with you looks like? Constant danger, constant fear, constant running. He didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because we both knew the truth. That night I made a decision. For Emma's sake. For both our sakes. I waited until Vincent left for another meeting. Packed our things. Called a car service, not one of Vincent's drivers. Dorothy found me as we were leaving. You're making a mistake, she said gently. Maybe, I said. But it's mine to make. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him I hope he finds peace. But I can't stay in a world where my daughter isn't safe. Dorothy hugged me. He loves you. You know that, right? I know, I whispered. That's what makes this so hard. Emma was quiet on the ride home. She knew something was wrong, but didn't ask questions until we were back in our small apartment. Are we not going back to Vince's house? She asked. Not for a while, baby, I said. Did you guys have a fight? Something like that, I said. Sometimes adults have to make hard choices to keep the people they love safe. But I felt safe with him, Emma said. He made me feel safe. I know, I said. But the world around him isn't safe. And that's the problem. Vincent called 17 times that night. I didn't answer. He texted another 30 times. I read every message, but didn't respond. Finally, around midnight, one last text came through. I understand why you left. I would have made the same choice in your position. Emma comes first. Always. I'll make sure the thread is handled so you can live your life without fear. And then I'll leave you alone. Just know that these months with you were the best of my life. You showed me I was still capable of being human, of loving someone. That's a gift I'll never forget. Take care of yourself and Emma. You both deserve every happiness. I'm sorry I couldn't give it to you. I read that message and sobbed into my pillow so Emma wouldn't hear. Because I loved him. Somehow, in 6 months, I'd fallen completely in love with Vincent Kane. With his gentleness and his strength and the way he'd become a father figure to my daughter without being asked. But love wasn't enough. Not when safety was at stake. Not when Emma's life hung in the balance. So I made the hardest choice I'd ever made. I let him go. 3 weeks passed. Emma asked about Vincent every day. When could we see him? Was he okay? Did he still like us? Each question broke my heart a little more. I threw myself into work. Took on private students again. Anything to keep busy, to not think about the empty space Vincent left behind. Then one morning, Marcus Moore showed up at my apartment. Claire, he said when I opened the door. We need to talk. If Vincent sent you, I started. He didn't, Marcus said. He doesn't even know I'm here. Can I come in? I let him in. Made coffee. Emma was at a playdate, so we had privacy. Vincent's not doing well, Marcus said without preamble. The threat against him is over. He handled it, brutally from what I hear. But he's not the same. He's shut everyone out. Goes through the motions, but there's nothing behind his eyes. Dorothy's worried. I'm worried. That's not my responsibility anymore, I said, hating how cold I sounded. Isn't it? Marcus asked. Claire, I've known Vincent for 30 years. I've seen him survive things that would break most people. But losing you and Emma? That broke him in a way nothing else has. He'll recover, I said. He's strong. Physical strength isn't the same as emotional strength, Marcus said. You gave him something he never had before. A real family. Real love. And now it's gone. It had to be gone, I said. Emma's safety comes first. I agree, Marcus said. But the threat's over now. Has been for 2 weeks. Vincent made sure of it. The people who came after you don't exist anymore. And neither does anyone who might think about trying the same thing. He sent a message. A clear one. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. What kind of message? The kind that ensures nobody will ever threaten you again, Marcus said carefully. The kind that makes you untouchable. He burned bridges he'll never rebuild, made enemies he'll have to deal with for years, all to make sure you and Emma could live your lives without looking over your shoulders. Why would he do that? I whispered. Because he loves you, Marcus said simply. Because you're the best thing that ever happened to him. And because he'd rather suffer himself than see you suffer.
I was quiet for a long time.
What do you want from me, Marcus? I want you to talk to him, Marcus said. At least once. Let him explain. Let him show you what he's done to make things right. And then if you still want to walk away, at least you'll be making that choice with all the information. And if talking to him just makes it harder?
I asked.
Then it makes it harder, Marcus said. But Claire, some things are worth the difficulty. Some people are worth fighting for. After Marcus left, I sat with his words for hours. Emma came home full of energy and stories about her playdate. She was doing so well. The new treatments were working miracles. She'd gained weight, had color in her cheeks, looked like a normal 7-year-old again instead of a cancer patient. Mom, she said that night at dinner, can I ask you something? Always, baby. Do you miss Vince? I took a breath.
Yes. Ido.
Me too, Emma said. He was nice to us. He made you smile. You don't smile as much anymore. I'm sorry, I said. I'm trying. Can we go see him? Emma asked. Just a visit? I want to show him my new drawings. And tell him about school. And make sure he's okay. I looked at my daughter. My brave, beautiful, impossibly wise daughter. Would you like that?
I asked.
Yeah, Emma said. I would. I miss him. And I think he misses us too. That night, after Emma was asleep, I pulled out my phone, stared at Vincent's contact for a long time. Then I typed a message. Emma wants to see you.
So do I.
Can we come by tomorrow? The response came within seconds.
Yes. Anytime.
I'll send the car. We'll walk. See you at 2. I lay in bed that night, heart racing, wondering if I was making a huge mistake or the best decision of my life. Vincent answered the door himself. He looked terrible.
Thinner.
Dark circles under his eyes. But when he saw Emma, his whole face transformed. Butterfly, he said softly. Emma ran to him, and he scooped her up in a hug, holding her like she was the most precious thing in the world. I missed you so much, Emma said. Why did you go away? I didn't go away, Vincent said gently. Your mom and I had some grown-up stuff to figure out, but I missed you every single day. He set her down and looked at me. Claire. Hi, I said, suddenly shy. Come in, Vincent said.
Please.
Dorothy's made lunch. All of Emma's favorites. We ate together in the kitchen. Emma chattered nonstop about school, her drawings, her treatments, everything Vincent had missed. He listened to every word like it was the most important thing he'd ever heard. After lunch, Dorothy took Emma to bake cookies, giving Vincent and me time alone. We sat in his study. The chess set was exactly where we'd left it 6 weeks ago. Like he'd been unable to touch it without me. Marcus came to see me, I said. I figured, Vincent said. He's been lecturing me for weeks about going after you. He said you handled the threat. I did, Vincent said. It's over. Completely over. You're safe. Emma's safe. How can you be sure? Vincent took a breath. Because I made examples. Public ones. The kind that make people think twice before ever touching anything related to me. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't nice. But it was necessary. Vincent. I know what I am, he said quietly. I know the things I've done, the person I am in that world. But with you and Emma, I got to be someone different. Someone better. And losing you both, it nearly destroyed me. Marcus said you burned bridges, I said. I did, Vincent confirmed. Made myself vulnerabilities to eliminate threats to you. Made enemies I'll be dealing with for years. And I'd do it again without hesitation. Because you're worth it. Emma's worth it. I felt tears prick my eyes. You can't keep sacrificing yourself for us. Why not? Vincent asked. You've been sacrificing yourself for Emma since she was born. Working yourself to death. Giving up your dreams, your career, everything you wanted. You understand sacrifice.
So do I.
The difference is, I'm choosing to sacrifice for something real. For people I love. I was so scared, I whispered. When that car followed us, when I realized Emma was in danger because of me being with you, I panicked. All I could think about was keeping her safe. You did the right thing, Vincent said. You should always choose Emma first. That's what makes you a good mother. But I hurt you. I'll survive, Vincent said. I always do. What matters is that you and Emma are okay. I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man who'd entered my life over a chess game and changed everything. Who'd shown my daughter kindness when he didn't have to. Who'd paid her medical bills and hired specialists and showed up to every appointment. Who'd loved me when I thought I'd never be loved again. The threat's really over? I asked. I swear it, Vincent said. On everything I am, everything I have. You're protected, both of you, for the rest of your lives. And if another threat comes? Then I'll handle that too, Vincent said. Claire, I can't promise you a life without any danger. My world is what it is. But I can promise that I will always put you and Emma first. That I will move heaven and earth to keep you safe. That I will die before I let anything happen to either of you. Emma's laughter drifted up from downstairs.
Happy.
Carefree. The sound I'd been fighting for since her diagnosis. She's doing so well, I said. The doctors are cautiously optimistic. They think she might actually beat this. She will, Vincent said with absolute certainty. She's the bravest person I know. After her mother, anyway. I'm not brave, I said.
I'm terrified constantly.
Bravery isn't the absence of fear, Vincent said. It's doing what needs to be done despite the fear. You're the bravest person I've ever met, Claire Bennett. I stood up and walked to where he sat. He looked up at me, hope and fear and love all mixed together in his expression. If we do this, I said. If we try again, things have to be different. I need honesty. Complete honesty. If there's danger, I need to know. If there are problems, I need to know. No more protecting me by keeping me in the dark. Done, Vincent said immediately. And Emma stays priority, I continued. Always. If she needs me, I drop everything. If she's uncomfortable or scared, we slow down. Absolutely, Vincent agreed. And we take this slow, I said.
No rushing. No assuming.
We figure out what this is and what it could be together. Whatever you need, Vincent said. I cupped his face in my hands. I love you. I tried not to. I tried to protect myself. But I love you anyway. And that terrifies me more than anything else in your world ever could. Vincent stood up, pulling me into his arms. I love you too. I have since that day you destroyed me at chess and refused to apologize for it. You're magnificent. You're brilliant. You're everything I never knew I needed. He kissed me then. Soft and gentle and full of promise. When we broke apart, Emma was standing in the doorway with Dorothy, both of them grinning. Does this mean we can come back? Emma asked hopefully. Vincent knelt down to her level. If your mom says yes, then yes. You can come back whenever you want. This is your home too, if you want it to be. Emma looked at me. Can we, Mom? Please. I looked at Vincent. At the hope in his eyes. At the man who'd proven over and over that he was worth the risk. Yeah, baby, I said. We can come back. Emma cheered and ran to hug Vincent. Dorothy was wiping her eyes. And I stood there watching the two people I loved most in the world embrace, feeling like maybe, finally, everything was going to be okay. 6 months later, Emma's cancer was in remission. Complete remission. The doctors called it a miracle. I called it the best news of my entire life. Vincent and I had taken things slowly, like I'd asked. Dating properly. Building trust. Learning each other. He'd been patient, never pushing, always letting me set the pace. And somewhere along the way, his house had become our home. We still did chess 3 times a week. Vincent had gotten good enough to win about 30% of our games. He'd even entered a local tournament and placed third, earning his first trophy that he displayed proudly in the study. "You know what I realized?" he said one night after a particularly close game. "What's that?" I asked. "Chess taught me more than just how to play," Vincent said. "It taught me patience, strategy, how to think long-term instead of reacting emotionally, how to see patterns and possibilities instead of just threats. It's made me better at everything. Better at business. Better at relationships. Better at life." "That's what my father always said," I replied. "That chess was a teacher for anyone willing to learn." "He was right," Vincent said. "About a lot of things. I wish I could have met him. Thanked him for raising such an incredible daughter." "He would have liked you," I said honestly. "He always said the measure of a person wasn't their mistakes but how they tried to fix them. You've spent 6 months proving you're willing to do whatever it takes to make this work." "I'll spend the rest of my life proving it if I have to," Vincent said. Emma burst into the study, her backpack bouncing.
Vince, Mom.
"Guess what? I got an A on my science project." Vincent scooped her up and spun her around. "That's my brilliant girl. I knew you would. And Mrs. Patterson said I can enter it in the district competition," Emma continued excitedly. "Can we? Please?" "Of course," I said. "We'll help you prepare. Can we celebrate with ice cream?" Emma asked hopefully. Vincent looked at me. I nodded. "Ice cream it is," he said. "Dorothy, we're going out for celebration ice cream." We piled into the car, the 3 of us, and drove to Emma's favorite ice cream shop. She got 2 scoops of chocolate chip cookie dough. Vincent got vanilla. I got strawberry. We sat at a little table by the window, and Emma told us every detail of her science project while our ice cream melted. These were the moments I treasured. Normal, simple, perfect moments that 6 months ago I thought I'd never have. That night, after Emma was asleep in her room at Vincent's house, he and I sat on the balcony, overlooking the garden. The stars were out. The air was cool. His arm was around me. "I've been thinking," Vincent said. "Dangerous," I teased. He smiled. "I've been thinking about the future, about what I want my life to look like. And I want this," he said simply. "You, Emma. Chess lessons and ice cream celebrations and science projects. I want the ordinary miracle of a family. With you." I turned to look at him. "Vincent Kane, are you proposing?" "Not yet," he said with a slight smile. "I'm old-fashioned enough to want to do it properly when the time comes. But I'm telling you my intentions. So you know where my head is, where my heart is." "I think I've known where your heart was for a while now," I said softly. "The question is," Vincent said, "where's yours?" I leaned my head against his shoulder. "Right here, with you. Scared sometimes, uncertain sometimes, but here nonetheless." "That's all I need," Vincent said, kissing the top of my head. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Vincent said, "I got a call from Marcus today." "Oh." "He's organizing a charity chess tournament. Proceeds go to cancer research. He wants us both to participate. You as a player, me as a sponsor." "Both of us?" I asked, surprised. "He said it's time Claire Bennett made her official return to competitive chess," Vincent said. "That the world deserves to see what you can do. And I agree. You're too talented to stay hidden." "I don't know," I said. "I'm out of practice." "You beat grandmasters while juggling 3 jobs and raising a sick daughter," Vincent said. "I think you'll manage just fine." I thought about it, about stepping back into that world. Not as my father's daughter or a struggling waitress or Vincent's girlfriend, but as myself. As Claire Bennett, chess player. "Okay," I said. "Let's do it." "Yeah." Vincent's face lit up. "Yeah," I confirmed. "On one condition." "Name it." "You play too. We enter as a team. Show everyone that the great Vincent Kane learned from the best. Vincent laughed.
Deal.
Though I'm definitely going to lose in the first round. Probably. I agreed cheerfully. But you'll look good doing it. 2 months later, we were at the tournament. Emma sat in the front row with Dorothy, holding a sign that said, "Go Mom. Go Vince." Marcus was commentating. The room was packed with players and spectators. I won my first 3 matches easily. Muscle memory kicking in. My father's teachings coming back like I never stopped playing. Vincent lost his first match, but put up a good fight. The grandmaster he played against actually complimented his endgame technique. In the semifinals, I faced a young prodigy. 17 years old.
Cocky.
Talented. He reminded me of myself at that age. The game lasted 3 hours. Back and forth. Neither of us giving an inch. The whole room gathered to watch. In the end, I found a combination my father had taught me when I was 16. A queen sacrifice that opened up a mating attack with just pawns and a bishop. Checkmate. The room erupted in applause. Emma was jumping up and down. Vincent was on his feet cheering. Marcus was grinning from ear to ear. I won the finals too. Brought home the trophy. But more importantly, I brought home the knowledge that I could still do this. That my father's legacy lived on through me. The tournament raised over $200,000 for cancer research. Money that would help kids like Emma. That would fund treatments and studies and hope. That night, back at home, I put the trophy on the shelf next to my father's old chess set. Vincent came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. "Your father would be so proud," he said. "I hope so," I said. I think about him every time I play. Every combination, every sacrifice, every victory. He's still teaching me. "And you're teaching others," Vincent said. "You've taught me. You're teaching Emma." That's his legacy continuing. Emma padded into the room in her pajamas. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Of course, baby." "Do you think Dad would be okay with Vince?" she asked seriously. "If he could see us now?" I knelt down to her level. "I think your dad would want us to be happy." "And we're happy, aren't we?" "Really happy," Emma agreed. "I love Vince. Not the same as Dad, but different. Like how you can love chocolate and vanilla ice cream both." Vincent made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob or both. "Come here, butterfly," he said, kneeling down too. "I loved your dad, even though I never met him, because he gave the world you and your mom. And I promised to honor his memory by taking care of both of you the way he would have wanted." Emma hugged him tight. "You're doing a good job." Later, much later, after Emma was asleep and the house was quiet, Vincent and I stood in the study one more time. "One more game?" he asked. "Always," I said. We set up the pieces. My father's worn set. The one that had seen thousands of games and would see thousands more. Vincent opened with pawn to e4. I responded with the Sicilian defense. And we played. Not for money or prizes or a reputation. Just for the pure joy of it. 2 people who'd found each other through 64 squares and 32 pieces. Who'd learned that sometimes the best moves in life are the ones you don't see coming. Checkmate came after 40 moves. I won. But we both knew that didn't matter. Because in the game of life, we'd already won the only prize that counted. Each other. And as Vincent reset the pieces for another game, as Emma slept peacefully down the hall, as the future stretched out before us full of possibility and promise, I thought about everything that had led to this moment. A proud Mafia boss who couldn't handle losing at chess. A waitress who dared to speak up. 20 games that changed everything. And I smiled. Because sometimes, the best stories start with a single move. And ours was just beginning. Hey, if you made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminded you that second chances are real. That love can find you in the strangest places. That being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means doing the right thing even when you're terrified. Drop a comment and let me know what you thought. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this one. Share this with someone who needs to hear that happy endings are possible, even when everything seems impossible. And remember, life is a lot like chess. Sometimes you have to sacrifice something valuable to gain something even better. Sometimes the best move is the one that scares you most. And sometimes, just sometimes, taking a risk on love is the smartest play you'll ever make. Until next time, take care of yourselves.
Be brave.
Be kind. And never be afraid to make the first move. This is Claire Bennett, signing off.